So we know that we live in a world that's basically 24/7 attached to social media. Anywhere that we look, on our phones, on our screens, on our TVs, all sorts of things, we're obviously attached to social media. And I think we find that we have a tendency to probably almost do things without even really thinking about it. We'll upload pictures of our lives, our food, our outfits, where we're going, what we're doing. And it also includes that we share our children. Now, I obviously share my child. I share my sort of journey of motherhood, her milestones, what we do together, where we go, everything that I find, sort of happening in our life now that I'm a mother and have a child. But I'm also always very conscious about her safety and making sure that when I'm sharing images of her online, that I'm putting her safety and her privacy and her right to her own person, and I'm making sure that I'm putting that at the top of the list. Unfortunately, I do see a fair bit that I think some people sometimes forget that even though our children are an extension of us, they're not us, and it is really important that we are putting their safety and their privacy first, especially when they're young and they can't communicate that they want, whether they do or don't want to be shared. And sometimes I'll see things, especially around nudity and things like that. I know baby butts are cute, but we can't always show them because it's not our body that we're sharing. So I thought it was really important to just have a quick chat about protecting our children online and how we can continue to share our children online, but do that safely. So here are my 4 tips for sharing your children online safely. So number 1 is sharing after the fact. And what that simply means is that don't share in real time. So if I take my daughter to an event or we go to a specific location, I won't share it, if we go to the beach, for example, or a specific park or something like that. I won't share that we are there until after we've left. That simply means that I'm protecting the fact that we're there in case anyone happens to be following or knows us or is looking for us or looking for her. I'm protecting her safety, that they can't find us when we're there and can't find her. So I always share after it's happened, which is very easy to do. I mean, you can even just share as you're driving away from the place that you went to. It doesn't mean you have to wait a day or a week or anything. But I try to avoid saying, well, this is where we are right now, because that just limits people being able to find us. Okay, so using discretion. I look at it like this. If you wouldn't want your mum to share a picture of you to her friends, maybe not the best idea to share that picture of your children. So specifically around things such as I mentioned before, nudity. And as I said, I know that baby bottoms are so cute, but that's not your bottom that you're sharing. That is somebody else's body. So it's really careful. You need to be really careful with what you're showing of them. Same with things which could be embarrassing. If you wouldn't want your mum showing her friends or her, online community pictures of you when you were toilet training, maybe not. I mean, that can be funny, but it's probably not the best thing to share online either. Keep those memories for yourself, for your own private use, for things to show, at your child's 21st or something like that, when you can embarrass them when you're older. I find with my daughter that some of the funniest things she does is after she's had a bath in the evening and she's running around and she's naked and, she's usually still wet because you haven't been able to catch her and dry her. And she's really funny, But I don't take pictures of her and I don't take videos of her in that time because it's her body and it's her safety and it's her right to feel safe when she's at home and that she can just be who she is. So I don't record any of those moments because it's not my right to do that. And that's why I think we need to be really discreet about what we share with our children, what parts of them we share. And as I said, just have a think about it. If you wouldn't want that shared of you by someone else, then have a think about whether it might be the right thing to share about your children. Next we have details. Now this kind of goes along with sharing after the fact, but it's more about the very specifics of it. So I don't share specific details of our weekly routine. I don't share the days that my daughter goes to daycare. I don't share what daycare she goes to or what campus she's at, things like that. I don't share details about our car, like our license plate number, or I don't think I've ever shared anything about to do with the type of car that we drive. I don't share my address publicly, things like that. I keep those things private because that just gives another level of safety and protection for her, that no one go, well, I know that she's at this place at that time, or they always go here, or anything like that. So, you know, it's about being, I guess, a little more vague about the details of things. It doesn't mean you don't say, well, that she goes here, or we do this, or whatever, but just keep things a little vaguer, and that way it makes it harder for people to track you down. Consent is probably the hardest thing. Obviously, if a child can speak and communicate and understands the concept of sharing on social media and understands the concept of the internet, it's easy to get consent because they can say yes or no if they want something shared. Younger children, babies, obviously, before they can speak, but even young children who can speak but don't understand the concept of social media and don't understand the concept of things being on the internet and that other people can see them, because you need to remember that even though they can say yes or no, if they don't actually understand what they're saying yes or no to, you're not really getting the right consent from them. So it can be quite hard to get consent from younger children and from babies. As I said, obviously if they can't speak, you can't get a yes or no from them. The way that I try to look at it is I gauge their body language, the sort of mood they're in, and also the content that I'm trying to capture. So with babies and young children, so with my daughter, she's only a toddler, she's not yet 2, I like to make sure that she's in the right frame of mind for it, that she, you know, if she doesn't want to participate in a photo, you know, if she's having a tantrum, she's not having a bar of it, she doesn't want to smile or be in the picture, I'll respect that, I won't take the picture. You know, same thing if she's just having a bad day, I'm not going to try and force her to do something if she's not in the mood for it. I'll make sure that she's actually having a good day, that she's happy to be a part of it, and I'll use that as the consent that she's giving to me. Obviously along the line, you know, following along with making sure I'm being discreet and I'm being careful of her privacy and those sorts of things. The other thing you can do is just think about the content that you're trying to capture. I'm very conscious of not just following her around with a camera all the time, expecting her to perform or anything like that. I take pictures of important moments, you know, special things that happen. If it's quite funny that she's doing something, or she's wearing a nice outfit, or we've gone somewhere special, I'll take an image of that. But I want her to feel safe and know that she doesn't have to always be on show, and that she's not always going to be followed around by a camera. And that's really important. I think that comes along that consent line, that she's not feeling that she's being forced into being or doing something that she maybe is not comfortable with all the time. So consent is really important, because obviously when you put things on the internet, they're kind of there forever. So we want to be careful with that. So the very last thing is always consider your audience, okay? For all of these things, you've got to think about who's going to be seeing them. Even if you're sharing privately, whether you've got a private account on Instagram, your private Facebook profile, or if you've got a group or something like that on Facebook that you're sharing to family members and things like that, you need to think about who's seeing the content that you're sharing, and remember the fact that other people can see it from them. So be really careful with that, be really mindful of the fact that when you share something on the internet, it's there forever. There's always an imprint of it, but also that someone who's viewing it can screenshot it, can save it, can show it to someone else, can send it on. So do think about those things when you're sharing. And as I said, it doesn't mean we can't share our children online. It just means that if we follow some simple steps, and we put their safety and their privacy first, then we can do that and know that we're not going to be causing them any harm. So go and snap pictures of your children and have lots of fun.